The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. Life is a storm, my young friend. You will bask in the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when that storm comes. Man is the only creature who refuses to be what he is. You will always find an excuse to refuse to look death in the face, but death is looking at you, and it does not blink. In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Every man is born as many men and dies as a single one. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Monsters are real, and ghosts are real too. They live inside us, and sometimes they win. What hurts you blesses you. Darkness is your candle. The deeper sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. We are born into a world that feeds on our suffering and dies with our indifference. Beware that when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster, for when you gaze long into the abyss gazes also into you. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. Nothing is permanent in this wicked world, not even our troubles. You cannot kill a monster until you are willing to sacrifice everything to slay it. Loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out. But when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is a light from within. Happiness is the greatest camouflage of our darkest thoughts. The worst part of having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't. We all die. The goal isn't to live forever, but to create something that will. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence. A man with nothing to lose is a very dangerous man. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. Civilization is a hopeless race to discover remedies for the evils it produces. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. The dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act on their dreams with open eyes to make them possible. You cannot swim for new horizons until you have courage to lose sight of the shore. The most terrifying fact about the universe is not that it is hostile, but that it is indifferent. Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know. All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. There are wounds that never show on the body that are deeper and more hurtful than anything that bleeds. Do not pity the dead, Harry. Pity the living, and above all, those who live without love. You can't wake a person who is pretending to be asleep. Hope in reality is the worst of all evils, because it prolongs the torments of man. The heart of man is very much like the sea. It has its storms, it has its tides, and in its depths it has its pearls too. It is not the strength of the body that counts, but the strength of the spirit. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. We're all puppets, Laurie. I'm just a puppet who can see the strings. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang but a whimper. We all labor against our own cure, for death is the cure of all diseases. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. Each man's life represents a road toward himself. We're all just one small adjustment away from making our lives work or ruining them completely. What is normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. We are all sentenced to solitary confinement inside our own skins for life. The world breaks everyone, and afterward some are strong at the broken places. We are like islands in the sea, separate on the surface but connected in the deep. The true horror of life is not death, but the knowledge that we will outlive so many we love. It is not worth the bother of killing yourself, since you always kill yourself too late. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation,